Greetings, space travelers. Welcome home. You just tuned your dial to Spaced Out Radio, the only place where you can own the night. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and tonight we're broadcasting to you on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Odyssey Radio. Remember, you can access our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, guys, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We are growing and we appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Spaced Out Radio, at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where the options are endless. You can stay up to date with the SOR Newswire, get some official Spaced Out swag, plus rock out to some Bumblefoot and so much more. We have an awesome show for you tonight. We have Tom Conwell, who is an electronic technician with the US Navy, Honeywell. He's into something called forensic pattern researching. We'll see what that's all about. Should be definitely an interesting conversation. Can't wait to get into that tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look and see who has come in. Who has come in? I already know who the top three are. We have Race Fan with the gold. We have Tamothman with the silver and Jennifer Patterson with the bronze. So appreciate you coming in. Let's see who else is in the chat tonight. Looks like we have Bim Jim. Hey Jim, says looks interesting. Yeah. I'm intrigued as well. We'll see where the conversation goes tonight. Appreciate you coming on in. We have Tamothman, Wu Tribe Activate. That's right. Let's go ahead and get it going on this Saturday night for After Hours. It's going to be a great weekend. As always, who else do we have out here? We have Lightwalkers. Hello, space travelers. Hello, Robbie G. Hello, Lightwalkers. Thank you so much for coming back again and again and again and hanging out with us here at the After Hours. We love it when you're here. We have Andrew in Gnomes Trucking Express saying, I'm here. You are in the building. We do appreciate you coming. Andrew, thank you for showing up tonight. And we have Roger Murray dropping some jewels on us once again. So March 8th, 2014 to 2024 is the 10th anniversary of the Malaysia Flight 370, which vanished in the Indian Ocean. And then also March 8th, 1994, Holland, Michigan UFO incident, 30th anniversary. 1,000 eyewitnesses saw boomerang-shaped object. Awesome information as always, Roger Murray. We appreciate it. I can't believe it's been 10 years since the Malaysian flight went down, man. Still no real answers there. I don't know. ET related. I don't know. I don't know, but it's weird. And yeah, hopefully we can get some answers with all that. Appreciate you dropping gems on us, Roger Murray. Thanks for coming in. We do appreciate you. Who else is out there tonight? We have, let's see, Malou saying SOR. That's right. SOR. We are representing the t-shirt tonight. Spaced Out Radio swag, because we do not have ugly swag, guys. Let's see, who else are we looking at here? We got Brown Dorf in the building saying good evening, listening with the ear emoji. We appreciate you coming in, Brown Dorf. Thank you for tuning your frequency to Spaced Out Radio. Let's see. What else do we have? We have Paramar. Paramar saying howdy, folks. Howdy, Paramar. Thank you for coming on in. We do appreciate you showing up tonight. Let's see. DB Nobody, one of the previous Spaced Out Radio SOR trivia winners. Long time no see, DB Nobody. Thanks for coming in, saying Skitty Bob is always watching. I've heard that, yeah, they could be literally right here watching everything we're doing, which is a creepy thing to think about. Let's see, who else is in the building? We do have Christine saying, it's time to partay. I like the tay that you put on there. That's a real party, when you partay. Love it, love it. Thanks for coming on in, Christine. We appreciate you. We got Scott Rosen in the building saying, hey, friends. Hello, Scott Rosen. Thank you for coming and joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Who else do we have? Looking. Going down the list. Okay, we got Corey saying, you the man, Rob. Corey, you the man or lady. Not sure what the gender is, but you are the real MVP. Thank you for coming on in. And we do appreciate you coming in tonight. Let's see. Guardian Jackpots. Foreplay Renzic. So, okay, I see what you did there. Thank you for coming on in, Guardian Jackpot. Seems like your new name. As we do every single week, we want to welcome all the new viewers, any new viewers that have chosen to give us a tune tonight, and we welcome you. And you'll see in the chat a lot of great like-minded people out there. We do appreciate you coming by and supporting Spaced Out Radio. Thank you very much. And we have Damian Wyatt. Space is my birthplace. In this rock is my ship. Okay. Is that a lyric? Fill me in. Aloha Dave 13. Buenas noches de Mexico. Good evening from Mexico, which I will be in Mexico next week. I'll fill you in on that a little bit later. We got Lil Cam 51 in the building with the, you got me there. I don't know what that is. Let's see. We got, who else? Who do we have? John Lamb Jr. Good evening, folks. Good evening, John Lamb Jr. Thank you for coming on in. We do appreciate you. And yeah, we're going to have an awesome show tonight. Just like we always do, right? We always hang out. We always have a great chat. Oh, can't miss Rafin. Hold on. Stop the press. We got Rafin saying, good evening, Rob G in chat room. Thank you for coming on in, Rafin. Do appreciate you. And it looks like we have more coming on in. Let's see. Shelly Montgomery, thank you for coming on in, saying, Rob, happy emoji with the wavy hands. I like the wavy hands. Paramar, Rob is going to Mexico to interview Jaime Maussan. No, but I will be going by some UFO hotspots. So I'm debating. I may film it. I'm thinking about filming it. I should film it, and I probably will film it. I just need to make sure that I get all the footage that I would need, and if I have it, I'll put it together and we'll show it like next week or do some about a week or so from now. We'll show it here. Okay, yeah. So thank everybody for coming on in. We do appreciate you showing up here at the After Hours. We're gonna have an awesome show tonight. Like I said, we got Tom Conwell who will be joining us momentarily. But what we'll need to do is do as we do every Saturday. And let me start right here. We had a technical difficulty last Saturday. And I was like, it's kind of weird, man. Shadow people. Nope. I figured it out. It was definitely a technical issue. We were running out of memory in my RAM. So my RAM was getting completely full due to Google Chrome and it was crashing the system. So I figured that out this week. Check that off the list. So we should be golden tonight as we go ahead and do as we always do. Jump back in time, hop back in the Spaced Out Radio time machine, and take a look at the week that was Spaced Out Radio. Awesome guest once again. We're going to go ahead and take a look back and see what went on. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Lon, to be able to do all of that remotely through remote viewing and psychic intuition, how do you know, or how do you track your accuracy with that?
Well, I think it takes faith. I use my angels. I use whatever comes my way while we're doing this clearing to help out, to move them on. In my case, and I know my colleague who's psychic did the same thing. It would usually be 2 or 3 entities that would make their way to the location. And they, like I said before, it's all free will. If this entity doesn't want to leave, you can't make it leave. But for whatever reason, and I believe these 2 entities that did come and take him were angels. In fact, I'm positive. And they moved him on. And I could literally, in my mind's eye, see them guide him off this earth plane and into the next level.
How do you get involved in a case like this?
You just fall into it. I mean, I have done, I don't know how many cases I've done. It's over 50 where I've had to move entities on it. But, many of these cases I've worked with many years. And this case was very quick. And we were fortunate enough to be able to resolve this to the point where, the family was satisfied. They were happy about it. They didn't have any additional issues with it. But as far as, it's like the luck of the draw. I mean, if people get to the point where they have other groups coming in, and look, many of these paranormal groups are just there to gather evidence and, try to get EVPs and get photographs and this and that. And that's their main objective. They're not really there to help out the clients.
All right. Well, let's get right to it. You've had your own experience with an ET. You believe you're a hybrid. And that's at least in a dream state that you know. Have you had alien contact since then?
Nothing that I can definitively say. I have had the state in between dreaming and awake, where you're kind of coming out of your sleep state, but your eyes are still closed and you're still kind of breathing like you're dreaming. In that state, I have seen other entities and beings in my room. I actually, a few weeks ago, had a situation where I was in that kind of state of existence where I saw that I was on a surgical table. I saw people in surgical masks moving around above me, the traditional 3 light kind of overhead light. And I remember I asked in my mind, is this the truth? And the people dissolved away, and instead it was, ETs, gray, the typical grays, as well as a tall white. I asked then if this was the truth, and then all of that faded away, and I saw a an entity sitting on like a single chair type throne situation in a room with lines, like electrical lines coming out of the back of its head, feeding into various aspects of my subconscious. So I don't know if I saw my higher self or what happened there, but that was an interesting experience. And so that's where it tends to happen, is in kind of that in between space. The way I think about it is like in the movie The Matrix, they would load into the construct, and then they would load whatever they needed to go interact in the matrix and the construct. That's the kind of the way I think about that space. Is it's the what do I need to remember and retain, as well as what can I load in from my present life.
You are an amazing experiencer who has an incredible story. You've told your story here on Spaced Out Radio a few times. From what you have learned, and what I'm trying to get at here is the public who's never had an experience really doesn't know how it plays out in the background for a lot of people, especially those who catch the eye of the alphabet agencies, the government, everything like that. You've talked to numerous people, as has Nicole, regarding this, and I'm curious how you feel about hearing the government talk UFOs, which is completely different than what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh, gosh, I mean, brother, you nailed it. I mean, people are genuinely looking for flavor. They want to know what it tastes like. They want to know what it feels like to them. They want to run it through their own biological computer system and somehow encapsulate the whole thing and naturally figure it out and move on. But here's the thing. There's too many flavors going on out there. There's too many things bouncing back and forth. My personal venue, my personal journey has been about, now of course I've seen countless videos and pictures and evidence and things from people that will never be heard because we just don't have a apparatus to really help and cover that. And I would like to be a part of helping people out and the system out, what a lack of system that we have to really put all this data somewhere where it belongs instead of a sympathetic ear. But I went through a very particular worldview destruction process because I didn't believe in the subject. So I went through this process much like a loved one that maybe have passed away. And I noted much later on, not while I was going through it, you can't see, past the wall that's in front of your face. Every time you go through a hard time in life, all you can see is that hard time. In hindsight, you can look back at that hard time and grin and shake your butt and say, I got over it, I got through it, and I'm a stronger person now.
We were talking right before the break about how these forest dwelling creatures seem to have this ability to cloak themselves or disappear right in front of our very eyes. Some people believe they have this ability to shake themselves so fast and vibrate so fast that it breaks up their frequency and helps them vanish. Maybe they have an elevator stashed behind a tree like Bugs Bunny, and they just hit the elevator and go down into the nether regions of this planet. What do you think is going on with a lot of these creatures that could just vanish?
I know it's really interesting. So in some of the original Celtic lore, the idea of the fairies being able to disappear was actually a gift from the sea god who gave them this cloak of invisibility so that they could actually stay in Ireland and not be destroyed by mankind and the other supernatural race that they're warring against. So it's kind of, I like that idea, right? That there's this explanation for a way to basically turn invisible. I mean, we don't really know exactly what it is that I just love kind of the intersection of what we think about today and we think of like this high frequency vibration, or sort of a way of manipulating actual molecules to kind of create something that looks invisible. Or maybe they're just like really, really fast. I mean, that's what I used to think when I was a kid. Like, they were just so fast that they could just they just travel like light, right? It just travels on a different frequency. I think all of those things are possible and also probably true, right? I'm sorry, I've got to put the balloon bag over here, making a little noise. I guess I imagine that more than thinking about what makes them go invisible, I probably spend more time wondering why they choose to be visible and when they choose to be visible.
Keith, can you share a story describing a funny moment you had while on craft?
Oh, that was the easy part. I mean, and do understand, I'm a pacifist. I found it funny anyway. I was up on a Srizatian battleship, and a youngster. Now, bear in mind, Srizatians are a reptilian race, 7.5 to 8.5 feet tall. And this guy stomps up to me, and he looks down on me. Can't blame him for that one. He goes, "Why should I listen to you, a simple Solarian, in matters of war?" And a split second later, two of his buddies looked at me and went, "Don't worry, we'll explain it to him in the morning when he wakes up in the infirmary." I know where the weak spot is. So the thing with Srizatians is you got to realize they aren't congenial if you don't prove to them that you know what you're doing. Now, from my standpoint, I only hit him once. I don't hit people. But in that culture, you end up getting part of dinner. Usually your dessert. The other one that was a lot of fun was the day I found out that the Econ were actually a real race. You guys know them as Pribbles, but they're actually a food source. This is why nobody takes them off their home planet.
All right, let's get to another question here, Keith. Let's go to Super Crazy. Can humans procreate with any of the known alien species?
Many of them. The most obvious would be the Mobians. Bear in mind, Mobians are human. Okay, they colonized Mobius about 50,000 years ago from Earth. Okay, there are a lot of other races that fit quite nicely, and I'm still trying to track down the name for it. Humans could procreate with the Nordics. Much as they can play with the Greys, they do require the scientific intervention to create a hybrid, not a half-breed. Now, the ancient races, on the other hand, the ones that grew up and that evolved on Earth, many of them are cross-compatible.
So this is what this podcaster is put out into the community as of today. So everybody's going to hear it. And the interesting part of that is that this being was in military fatigues, US military fatigues. And so there's a whole story that goes past that goes into a conversation with the NHI. Dave and I have already reported on that, about what was said and all the details of it. But it's interesting to me that this is being leaked out into the community, but not through proper channels. So people know the story. I mean, a lot of people know the story by now. But we have to wait in order for the films to come out, James Fox's film and Lou Elizondo's film, apparently, the timing of it, it's all being coordinated. So in some ways, our hands are like shackled, but there are people that want these stories to come out so people can be validated that NHI is verifiable and it exists. That's the part that is fascinating to me, that I want to be able, everybody to talk about, because this goes beyond being silenced and confidentiality. This is about humanity having NHI here on this planet. So I don't know how you feel about that, Dave, but having the story coming out today makes me know that it is going to be put into disclosure. And so that's the good part of all of it. What do you think?
Well, I think there's probably a lot more details that we're not being told right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how this so-called leaker of information is going to be dealt with. Are they going to lose a job over this? Are they going to just continue on like nothing has happened and just, keep going? As for the whistleblowers involved, let's hope that they get the clearance to talk about this one day. Let's hope that they do get to move the ball forward.
Well, there's a bunch of, from what I understand, a bunch of folks in Lou Elizondo's documentary. I mean, a bunch of individuals have given testimony on Lou's documentary. So I think that's what the big thing is that we were told is coming in 2024.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump back into the future as we hopped out of the Spaced Out Radio time machine. It was a great week. Once again, a lot of great guests, as you saw. If you missed any of those episodes, I would highly recommend that you go back and catch them, right? The archives are totally free. YouTube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Go back and catch what you missed, including this show, right? So if you missed this weekend show, definitely hop in the archive and go take a look. See, I want to welcome a few other people that came in while we were looking at the weekly review, and it looks like we had come in Wildberry Candy Co. Thank you so much for coming in. We have Van Gold. Thank you so much for coming in. We have Kurt M. Appreciate you showing up. We have Angels Are Life. Nikki, thank you for coming in tonight, Nikki. We had Joe Monk. Come on in. Appreciate you, Joe Monk. We have Phyllis Mouchette Perry. Thank you so much for coming in, Phyllis. And I think the last person I saw was John Lamb Jr. saying, I'm a big fan of the SOR Weekly Review. We do appreciate you for coming on in and showing up. And Foxy Joe jumped on in with the first super chat of the night, super sticker. We appreciate you, Foxy Joe. Thank you for your support of Spaced Out Radio. We do totally appreciate it. And if you're new, welcome. Don't recognize your name. If you are new, then definitely welcome. We are glad to have you. And let's see. Paramar put this comment out there a little earlier. Said it's Space Out Radio. Something Lon just said made me think. Have we ever had someone on who talks a lot to angels? I'd love to hear some perspectives from the angels, not the baseball team. Got it. Paramar, suggestions are always welcome here. You already know how we do it here. So if I can make it happen for you, it's going to happen. I will be putting that on my short list there, Paramar. And any other suggestions you guys have, right? You can catch me on Facebook. I'm in the After Hours group. You can get me on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, at Mr. Rob G. Same way as you see right here. Yep, you can get me on social media. Drop me some suggestions. Whatever you want to see somebody, definitely let me know. Reach out to me, send me a note, let me know. And as history has shown, I will try to make that happen for you. So our guest tonight is definitely going to be another guest that was a suggestion. I looked into the gentleman and to see what he was into and was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get him on the show for sure. So I reached out and he graciously agreed to come on. So we will be talking to Tom Conwell. Let me go ahead and bring him in. All right. Hello, Tom. How are you this evening?
Good, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you coming in. I was looking into So I'll go ahead and go to your bio. So you have okay. So electronic technician with the U.S. Navy and Honeywell Inc. for 42 years. Um, let's see, studying databases as a forensic pattern researcher. You've written books. We'll talk about all that tonight. What I'd like to know is, as I do with every guest that I interview for the first time, I just kind of like to know what brought you into this space. What brought you into, being interested in this phenomena, and let's kind of start there.
Okay, well, when I was a youngster, even preteen, um, my aunt was the secretary of the Astronomical League of America, and she used to take me on whenever she would go to conferences and stuff, and I just loved it. We had so much fun together, and then I got pretty well interested in astronomy and whatever else. But this thing about UFOs always stuck in my mind. There was something about it that I really had to know about. Well, life got in the way. I joined the Navy. I then moved to Honeywell, and 42 years later, I was in a position where I could retire early, and I did, and I was ready to go. I had nothing to do except retire and sit, but I didn't like to do that. So I went into paranormal investigating and UFOs.
Nice, nice. So I guess we can definitely get into some of the. I guess let's start with the paranormal, right? So, what exactly are you an invest? Like, some people do ghost hunting. Some people are. There's different positions within the paranormal world. What exactly do you do within the paranormal when it comes to the paranormal?
Okay, well, because I had a really extensive background in electronics, I like getting the um, various machines that are designed for the paranormal field and messing with them and see what's going on, see how they work, and um, try to see if they're actually detecting ghosts. So I do a lot of that.
That's very interesting. Okay, so what have you discovered? What are your findings when it comes to some of those? And we're talking about like the EVPs, right? Like what type of machines are you looking at?
Okay, well, I'm certainly looking at recorders that are picking up supposed EVPs, and I'm also looking at EMF devices that register the magnetic fields um, due to the flow of electric current. And if I were to try to draw some conclusions from that, I would say that the uh, the ones that pick up EMF are hit and miss. I don't think that they are a good pickup for ghosts. In other words, if a light goes off, aha, there's a ghost. Well, I wouldn't jump so quickly. Um, but I'm pretty. Uh, it's hard to say if I'm skeptical. I'm not skeptical because I've seen ghosts myself, but I'm certainly doubtful that the machine can pick them up. And then we have EVPs, and EVP is just an electronic signature, an electrical signature that happens to be in the air that is picked up by some of these devices and translated into audio. In some cases, you may pick up a word here and there that can't possibly be anything but an actual response. But generally speaking, I think they're all pretty nonsensical, um, and they aren't really good pickups for the for our ghosts. So what I try to do and try to get people to look at is one device doesn't make a response. You need multiple devices doing multiple things, and then perhaps you can come close to creating a scenario that, maybe something otherworldly did talk to me here, but only after there's multiple responses.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a great perspective to have, actually. I can appreciate that, being that, okay, when we talk about the paranormal, you've seen things yourself, so you know there's something to it, but then also being able to still be objective and kind of still vet some of the processes that people are using to sometimes validate sightings, right? So if it comes down to some of these machines, may not be the best options when it comes to detecting things, would be a good thing to know, because if there are, if you have people under a false pretense that they're getting something when potentially you may be dealing with inadequate hardware when it comes down to it. So that's a good thing. Now, you're an electronic technician, so so having an opinion like that is going to gives it more validation that you come from that background. Have you thought about, looking at the current methods that are being used? Are there any things that you have thought about that would work potentially better than what's currently out there?
Wow. I would say I haven't come across anything yet, or haven't come up with any ideas yet that would give me a jump on the competition. I just think everything is hit and miss. And as long as you are very meticulous with your questions and checking the responses from multiple kinds of devices all at the same time, then you can make good, accurate conclusions. If you holding up a K2 meter with a light blinking, it means nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's the same way that the government, wants to approach UAPs, using science and having multiple things, monitoring an occurrence.
Sure.
So that makes sense to have that data, in different sources. But okay, so with that being said, then obviously these people are going into the field and they are having these experiences at some point in time. So are you a proponent of just getting rid of the equipment and maybe approaching it a different way, or what would be like your recommendation?
Well, most people go into the field and don't have and have never had a personal experience. So they are more willing to grab a blinking light and draw a conclusion that isn't realistic. I would like to see people use their equipment by setting it up and asking really intriguing questions, not like "What's your name?" all the time. Just ask the unusual. Go into a situation and talk with your friends and just chit chat. That's when you get the most interesting responses.
Okay, I like that. I like that there's suggestions there, that you at least have suggestions on how things could be better. I know there's definitely something to that whole other side based on some experiences that I've had. And, is as muddy as the waters get just within our field period, whether it's paranormal, ufology or other, we need to there's a lot of stuff that should be weeded out, off the top, taken off the top, and then so we could really look at the real data, authentic data. Okay. So with that being said, I was looking into some other things that you had going on. You're an author, so you had authored a book called "They Are Here," volumes 1, 2, and 3. What are these books based off of? Is this extraterrestrial? I'm assuming what "They Are Here."
Yes, they are. What I did was I noticed within the National UFO Reporting Center that they had, tens of thousands of things that the regular person has reported that they've seen in the sky. In addition to each one of these reports, there's a long description that many of the people who have seen something had an opportunity to write in. That's what I found the most interesting. The people that were writing stuff that were, you could tell they were making up. It was so obvious when they would write something like that you could just completely eliminate that as a possible conclusion. So I thought, what would happen if I went through this database from beginning to end in every state in the union and got rid of the ones that I thought were just nonsense? Let me give you an example. One in particular was a person who looked up in the air and saw something that was a bright star in the sky, and it moved very slowly with the other stars, and it was there when they woke up in the morning, and that UFO must have been looking at something. Well, chances are they were just looking at one of the planets. They weren't looking at a UFO. So it's that kind of thing, and there's a lot of them in there that I utilized the database and just got rid of it. And so for each particular state, I probably got rid of about 20% of the reports that were, just nonsense. What I was left with was a bunch of pretty darn good reports. I'm sure that some of them needed to be deleted even after that, but without a good long investigation, I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I have this database, and I got rid of a whole bunch of sightings, and wondered what I was going to do with all this data. So I thought that if I were to track the data on a graph, that the graph may indicate something to me. If I were to put the thing on a picture, that may indicate something to me. So I did this generally with each state of the union, and also went into every state and tried to find out things like, let me open this up here to one of the states. The state of Missouri. This is just a sample. And what I did was try to get some of the information from the Native Americans that were various amounts of tribes there, and whether there were petroglyphs or rock arts, whether the geological information of that particular state would stand out, if perhaps that's why the UFOs were hovering around certain areas. There were caves in and around Missouri that were responsible for a lot of the geologic activity and some of the mineral action within these caves. Earthquakes and tremors. There was a lot in Missouri, and that seemed to be pretty interesting. The New Madrid Fault is right there. That goes up through other states. Then we have environmental concerns such as fracking, air pollution, air quality, dumping of toxic materials, power plants, whether they're coal-fired power plants or nuclear plants, Superfund sites, a military presence, and sighting clusters. And I tried to account for some of the clusters. Well, I did that kind of stuff with each and every state and tried to come up with something within these states that would create a pattern for me that I could say, yeah, the reason that UFOs are hovering in these 10 states is because of the geology, or the reason that they're hovering here is because of the kind of stuff that we're dumping into the air and into our waterways. So I tried looking at absolutely everything with every single state in the union, and tried to come up with various reasons. Well, after 3 books and a whole lot of interesting information I came across, especially in the Native American fields, I wasn't able to come up with one firm reason why the UFOs were here. Not one. Nothing repeatable. Every state was different. So I really didn't know what to do at that point. And I started looking around for other reasons. And one of the things I did was I'm giving speeches now in the upstate New York and Connecticut and Vermont areas. And what I did was generally the kind of information I just told you about that was in my books. I condensed them and talked about each particular one of them. And I came up with one thing and one thing only. And I put that under the term of other reasons. What I came up with was the population of the world is it's advancing. It's trying to become more conscious and jumping to yet another dimension. That would be the 5th dimension or 5th density. And what I think is going to happen is somewhere down the road, and I don't think that's too far off, that what will happen is the Earth will jump, and what these UFOs are doing, hundreds probably of races of different planets around our galaxy. What they're looking for is what's going to happen to our planet when we switch over and become 5th density. It's going to be a very big deal, and that's what they want to know.
Wow. Okay, I mean, that's pretty deep. I'd like to go back to what you were talking about as far as taking this data and kind of, narrowing it down. I mean, the data's there for you to do that. And truthfully, there should be a lot more people out there taking that same approach, because it doesn't mean that what you've come up with is the answer, but at least you have taken the time to kind of weed out ones that we won't call them non-sightings, but ones that may have been weaker evidence-wise, and then left the ones that were really compelling to try to paint a picture. And I think a good point that you made there was that you didn't find a true pattern, that it just happened to be that these things are at these different places, which I think that means that that they're just here. They're not here for, we can't really lock them down to a specific reason why they're here or a reason why they are seen in a certain part of the world. It just goes to say that they're here and they're everywhere. And at least it's a rabbit hole that you have actually been able to go down and kind of, get what may not be on the surface. Because if you say you don't see any patterns, that doesn't mean that the work was for naught. It actually is worth a lot, and it shows
Absolutely.
that
Yes.
it doesn't really point to a specific thing.
One of the things that I noticed is that life is the reason why some of them are here. Not every civilization out there has the same goals. So life is most likely one of their goals. Life attracts life. So we have life here that attracts other civilizations that they want to know what we're all about, and that's one of the big reasons why I think that we needed to look at why they may be showing up here. Like I said, everyone has a different what's the word I'm looking for? Everyone has a different reason for coming here. Many of them overlap, but in all, it's life and the fact that we're about to jump into the fifth dimension. I think those are the two big ones.
Okay, and then so moving into that, this fifth dimension, and I've heard about this, and you mentioned humanity ascending consciously and getting to a level where these other species will at some point intervene, or whatever the plan may be for them at that point in time. What is your outlook on that? What do you think they're going to do, or what do you think is going to happen once we do ascend to a point to where they're ready for us?
Well, once that happens, our lives are going to be drastically different from that point on, because they will be introducing themselves to us one at a time, maybe a couple of months apart, and it's going to be a big deal. We're going to be introduced to every single civilization that's out there, and we may identify with one or the other. Star seeds will sort of tend toward where they came from. It's going to be a very, very interesting time to be on the earth. I hope I'm alive for it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. I mean, I do, and that's kind of what the whole thing is that we want to know. We all have ideas of what may happen once that day comes. Some people have a great outlook on what it's going to be. Some people not so much. I'm kind of in the middle with it. I think there's evidence of both things being true. And the real thing that kind of keeps driving me is that I know in this moment we're in now is the moment that humanity needs to make decisions on what we're going to do going forward. And the cool thing about all this is that even though it appears, a lot of us already have confirmation, the government is stringing people along, never going to give disclosure. But we're still, every night I go to sleep, I think about how tomorrow could be that day that either the ETs have done something massive and have shown themselves to a large group of people, undeniable sighting. I go to sleep every night thinking it's totally possible that tomorrow could be that day. And if tomorrow is that day, then that means that change that you're talking about right now happens right then. So it can happen as early as tomorrow, or it could happen 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years down the line. But it isn't something that's out of reach. It's literally something that could flip a switch tomorrow and everything changes. How do you look at that, and what say it did happen tomorrow? We wake up, it's that, breaking headlines, UFO over LA, 24 hours sitting there. What do you think happens to us from that moment forward?
What will happen initially will be euphoria. And then, I don't know if you've read the book AD After Disclosure.
It's on my list. I know what you're talking about.
Let me tell you, that is some wonderful book. And what it does is it takes you from that very scenario you talked about. All of a sudden, there's a ship there, and they're here to talk to us. Well, after a little while, these questions start getting asked, like asked of the government, how long have you known?
Yeah.
And let's say they give us a gift, such as a medical gift. And one of those medical gifts is a cure cancer. Well, what would the result be if you personally, God forbid, just lost a very, very close family member to cancer, and you realize that the government was holding back the information that could have saved your loved one?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be bad. So there's going to be turbulent times. Very turbulent times.
I agree with you on that. And that's one of the reasons why I say all the time, for anyone, because there are government, behind the scenes government entities that watch shows like these. And I always say, for any of those that are listening, like, you got to come out and the government has a chance to come out of this as clean as they can. They're going to be still dirty for sure, but they can come out as clean as they can by showing goodwill towards humanity and helping to further this narrative and this ascension of humanity, to really go all in with humanity. Because I am, and I don't know if Dolan touches on this in the book, but I'm under the feeling that if they don't step in and show some sort of goodwill or good faith for humanity, that and we get disclosure some other way, catastrophic disclosure, then there's going to be it's going to be really hard to sit down at the table with all the world powers and try to say, hey, we want to continue with this program that you guys have set up. It's going to be a back to the drawing board thing, where I'm sure, I just have a feeling that humanity is not going to want to go along with what's currently happening. And if the government wanted to be a part of those conversations after disclosure happens or confirmation, then they should probably get ahead of this as soon as possible, come out and make this speech and let everybody in, so you could at least have some sort of semblance of trust left there, if any. You know what I mean?
You bet they should. If they don't, they're going to pay the price later.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. So what we're going to do right now, Tom, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and take our break, pause for the cause, and we will be back here in about 5 minutes with our guest, Tom Conwell. And guys, get some questions ready. So make sure you put them in caps. I'll go ahead and get them saved. And we will be asking those at the end of this next hour. We will be right back. You guys kick back, relax. See you in a minute. Yes, 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 yes. I love that guitar. Welcome back, guys, to Spaced Out Radio after hour number 2 with me, your host, Mr. Rob G, as we continue with our guest, Tom Conwell. But first, I want to go ahead and talk to all the space travelers out there. Guys, you're already space travelers. Think about taking the next step and joining the club, right? That's right. You can join our SOR Space Travelers Club for as little as $5 per month by joining our Patreon. And also, don't forget, get some official, I don't know if you can see it, get some official SOR Spaced Out Radio swag at spacedoutradio.com/shop. We'd love to see you in some of the swag. Take some pictures. I know Castle Dude, I saw in the notes, the Castle Dude's got his swag, and some of you others have got your swag too. Take some pictures, send them in so we can go ahead and put them on the Spaced Out Radio website. That would be awesome. All right, back with our guest here, Tom Conwell. Tom, I was looking at something here. I don't know if this pertains to you exactly, so this will be in 2 parts here. So I wanted to talk about your if you've had a sighting or an experience, and then I guess there was a book, the Night Visitants, My Story of Extraterrestrial Contact. Is that your sighting, or is that in relation to someone else's?
That is, I dictated my story to an author who wrote the book about me.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's-
great.
yeah.
If you wouldn't mind talking about that.
That was a pretty interesting time for me. Once I started working with UFOs, the first thing I did was I started writing blogs on the Paranormal Team webpage. And I wrote about 35 or 36 blogs, and some of them were rather long. And I realized when I got all that information together that if I were to put it all in condensed form, I would have a book just from that. So I did that. I made a book, and that book is entitled "Going Interstellar," and that is a compendium of all of the stories that I wrote. Stories are probably the wrong word. What I did was I looked at the state of our scientific advancement, and then theorized what we would have to do in order for us on this planet to go visit other planets. So, and I talked about all of the science and everything else involved with that, and that was pretty comprehensive. But once I wrote that, things started happening. The first thing that happened was there was a gentleman who called our paranormal team who said that they wanted to have just me, come out and look at their house because they think that they had extraterrestrial visitors there. I didn't know what I could do for them. What the heck? Because the extraterrestrials, well, they do whatever the heck they want to do. There's nothing we can do about it. So I thought, well, all right, perhaps I'll go out and I'll take a couple people with me and we'll have a chit chat, see what's going on. Well, when I got there, it was very odd. Let me tell you, Rob, this was really weird. This guy kind of latched on to me and he started showing me pictures from around his house that were, he specified they were orbs flying around, and then he got on to showing me pictures of a of an extraterrestrial hiding behind a bunch of boxes. And I wasn't buying much of this. I just thought it was kind of weird. Well, this guy was came across to me as a Coast Guard officer from New York. And when I went to talk to him, it, it was very odd. He kept asking me, "What do you think of this, Tom? What about this, Tom? Could they be coming to my house, Tom?" It was it was just odd the way he was doing all this. Well, I was very polite with the guy and talked to him nicely, and we chit chatted for a while. And he eventually said, "Well, all these pictures that I got around the house and everything else," he said, "My girlfriend got me a security camera for my house, and so that my electric guitars will be safe." Well, I thought that was a little odd because I started immediately looking up at the security cameras, and I judged that he had top of the line stuff within his house. He had top of the line stuff outside of his house, had it on the second floor, and also had it pointing upward from the second floor up to the sky. This was weird, Rob. Let me tell you, this was so weird. He eventually said to me, "Do you want to see a ship?" And I said, "Sure, if you have a ship to show me." Well, this thing was like seeing a mile-long ship from about 20 feet away. And the ship just went by real slowly, and there was a camera pointing up at it the whole time. And I got to see the entire underside of this thing. It was just the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. And he said, "Well, what do you think, Tom?" I said, "Can you get me a copy of this tape?" He said, "No." Just like no. So I said, "What would you like me to do with it?" He said, "Well, I just wanted to show you that I captured something." I wasn't buying it, Rob. I wasn't buying it. What he did was try to find out what I knew, and it was because of some of the blogs that I wrote about some AI and using high-tech electronics and things like that. And he was wanting to know what I knew. That's basically it. So I left there that night with the two people that I went with, and told him there's nothing I can do with it, unless he's willing to share the film with me. And he says no, he wasn't. So when I walked out the door, the first thing I did was look up. And what I was seeing was the window where this camera was mounted, and it was pointing straight up, right? Well, okay, I figured he must have been doing that. Must have been, filming there. But then I noticed that the tree canopy was covering everything out there, all the way up to the edge of the house. So I mean, I knew immediately by looking at that picture, which was, by the way, perfect filming, and it was crystal clear. There's no way that he took it from where he said he took it from.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering what the heck was going on. He certainly tried to get into my head and tried to get me to talk, but I wasn't saying anything. Well, that was the first thing that happened. And believe me, there was a whole series of other things after that. Like I had 2 American Indians in my room in the middle of the night. Well, I thought, well, what are you guys doing here? And they didn't say anything to me. They had something in their hand. It almost reminded me of a microphone, like a long stick with a bulb on the end. Okay.
Okay.
That's what it reminded me of. And they both came up to me on either side. Mind you, I was in my bed laying down, and they both reached out and touched my chest. And I felt this electric jolt. And all of a sudden, I'm levitating. And then I lost my consciousness, I guess, and didn't know anything. I woke up next morning in bed and everything was fine. But I started thinking, wait a minute. These 2 guys came into my room through a door on the right-hand side. My door in my bedroom is on the left. Where
So what
was
do
I?
Yeah. So what do you think that was like in a dream state or a astral? Like, do you think that was real or do you think it was potentially a dream?
I don't think it was a dream, but because I actually felt the jolt and felt the air on my back when I started levitating. So I actually think it was real.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
So the
very weird.
Native American
Native
aspect.
Americans, yeah, dressed just like them. Look up Plains Indians and Google it, and the first couple pictures you see, that's what I saw
Wow.
in my room. And the thing about it, I was laying on my back, and one guy came over to my left side, which was fine. The other guy came over to my right side, and I had a queen size bed. So he couldn't have walked up to me while I was laying in the queen size bed. So I wasn't in the bed. I don't know where the heck I was. It was very weird. Oh, let me tell you, it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, and to have it be, usually when someone has an experience like that, it's an extraterrestrial. But then you had 2 Native Americans. What do you think the significance of that is? What do you think that represents?
Well, let me just say this. I think they gave me a site that I was comfortable with, and I had just finished my book, They Are Here, Volume 2. And in that, I wrote extensively about Native American prophecies. And I had almost like just finished the book. So that was foremost in my mind. Maybe they just grabbed something out of my mind and made me think I was looking at it. I don't know. I really don't know, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, because I believe that just from my own personal experience, that there are times where you have the traditional dream, but then there are other times where the experience that you're having while in this state is so real and authentic that it can't be a dream, that it has to be something else that's more aligned with some sort of reality. Now, whether it's, like astrally traveling to or some other location, like I feel like I have in some of the dreams that I've had, because they've been a block of, a couple weeks where I'm having the exact same dream and I'm going to a place that is exactly the same every time I go and very detailed, that I'm actually going to that place. So I think there is a line there where you experience something where you may leave your body, your consciousness, or is the only way I can really describe it, and that you are actually going to these places. So it almost sounds like that experience that you're talking about potentially is that where you're like, where you've traveled to some location and that was your experience while you were there. You know what I mean? I don't
Oh,
know.
absolutely, absolutely, entirely possible. And believe me, for the longest time, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't know how to phrase it. I didn't know what to say. And I kept thinking to myself, it has to be a dream. It can't be real. But I had a total of about 15 various things happen, and then I knew at that point there was just so much that I figured that something had to be going on. I also thought for the longest time, and I'm still thinking along these lines, is that they would not so much I would astral travel, but they would hijack my consciousness and take me to where they wanted me to go.
Yeah, yeah,
Because as I got there, then if I woke up the next day, uh, I had the feeling like I was sitting through hours and hours of lectures.
yeah, yeah.
And then when I got up the next morning, the first thing I would do is get onto Facebook and write something about what I heard or what I saw or what I presumed they wanted me to talk about.
Yeah, and the hijacking the consciousness is a great way kind of to put it, because I've made that reference before. I feel like potentially some of the abduction scenarios may be exactly that, where where your consciousness is being abducted. So you are having the experience, you are there, but not in the actual physical, more so on a conscious level. So I think that's pretty interesting and compelling. And like I say, the thing that I really like is how you are willing to sift through the data and then also have an objective view, where you say, okay, this didn't make sense. And you looked into it a little further and said, well, there's no way that picture could have been taken using that camera, and it kind of took you down a path of where you were able pretty much to debunk what it was that you were being explained. And I think that's what kind of was needed here, because I think a lot of people just go along with the story and don't really question it and just take it for what they perceive it to be is reality, or potentially there could be other explanations. And that's why it's good to talk to this, and I appreciate just your objectiveness on when approaching this stuff. And the research that you've done, like compiling or sifting through sightings and then compiling a list of the more compelling ones, that's something I would do. I would literally do that, because I feel like it just is an example of what you potentially could do out there as a viewer. The data is there for you to sift through and for you to do exactly what it is that you've done. Kind of try to draw some patterns from what it was that you were looking at. And I think if everybody did that, that would be pretty awesome. So you would be a trailblazer on that aspect of it. Now, I'm assuming everything that we talked about in relation to that is what you mean by forensic pattern researching, right? Is that essentially what that was?
Not exactly. Well, one of the things that I did after writing the books is I realized that I left information, left the data in the book without looking at absolutely everything that I could possibly look at. And that was looking at if there's any physical tie-ins between a sighting in that town and a sighting in the town right next to it, or is there a collection of sightings in there? And what I like to do is take apart all of the pictures of where these sightings have been, and almost like taking the body apart, looking at it forensically, and try to find the patterns that are left. So that's where forensic pattern research comes in.
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome, and I'm totally with that. Now, um,
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
let me throw out this. I don't know if you can call up a picture on your screen here, replacing you with one of the pictures that I sent you, because I sent you a map.
Okay. I was just about to ask you about that, so that's perfect.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah.
take a look here.
That's mostly where the pattern research comes in.
All right, and let me bring up in the messenger here. Yes. Okay. All right. I'll bring it up right here. Okay.
There we go. Hey, that looks familiar.
Yes, sir. So I was gonna say you have compiled a map and tell us what all these spots are. This is incredible that you've done this.
Okay. In order to put dots on a map like this, I had all kinds of problems that I had to solve. Number one, if you look at the kind of sightings within the National UFO Reporting Center, there's about 45 different things seen in the sky. Well, I couldn't put 45 different colors on the screen. That was impossible. So what I did is I started combining things. In other words, if I had a sphere and an oval and a jellyfish, for instance, if there's those three kind of sightings, I combined them all into spheres. So, and the spheres I used the red color for,
Okay.
and they are pins on the map. What I also noticed is when I got towards bigger cities, when I got towards down the Route 1 corridor from Maine down into Virginia, that you go from one city to the next with no farmland. And so there's going to be a lot of people and they're going to see a lot of things. So there's another group called Fireballs, and they are fireballs and orange spheres and things like that. And I combine all of those into one group. And
Wow.
the yellow triangles, I combine all the kinds of things that are triangle like things. I combine those all into triangles. And then those are the ones that I put on the map. I just put 3 up because, well, I was basically limited because I could only find 3 different colors of pins that I could put up.
Wow.
So, so I had this as a problem, and I tried to solve it that way, and then I put the pins on the map. Well, what was happening was in some of the larger areas, some of the larger sighting areas, I had way more pins than there were room on the map. So if I had 20 pins in a close area of the same color, I used a large pin. It's not little ones. If you look carefully, you can see the difference between big pins and little pins.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, especially on the East Coast. Now, when you get to the West Coast, that was yet another problem. When you get to the West Coast, we have, let's see if I can see the colors there. Okay. For the large pins, if there were 20 of them, I used the same color but large. But there were so many areas that had hundreds of types of pins. So I use the white pins for fireballs. I use the orange pins for spheres, and I use the blue pins for triangles. And over there, if I had 100 pins, I would replace them with one of the colors that I told you. So there's some of these areas are just loaded with sightings. I mean, loaded. Areas like Seattle, Tacoma, and Northern Oregon, right along the coast, and San Francisco and Los Angeles and San Diego. They're just loaded there with different sightings. The other thing I noticed where the pattern research is coming in is some of these areas do not follow the patterns of the other ones, such as New York City. Well, it's all pins,
Yeah.
but that's because it's
Densely populated. Yeah.
Yes, it is. But what about the areas that aren't densely populated but have a whole lot of pins? How do you account for those? Well, there's one area in particular I'd like to show you over in Western North Carolina. Western North Carolina is a blue area, and Eastern Tennessee is what color is that? Can't even tell what color it is. Almost like a tan color. Well, right in that area is a mountainous area, and ships have been seen going into the mountains and disappearing.
We've heard that. Melinda Leslie talks about that. Definitely.
All kinds of them. Oh, I love Melinda. All kinds of sightings in that area. That's one of them. Another one is Charleston, South Carolina. And then another one is the entire state of Florida. And then another one, which I found very, very interesting, is northwestern Arkansas, northeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Missouri.
Definitely.
There are loads of UFO sightings in that area. And when I started doing my research in those areas, I found an area where there are multiple things that crossed over where the UFOs were seen, such as caves. And the caves had some unusual things in them, like radium. And then that's where the earthquakes are seen and have been recorded for thousands of years in that area. And there's also a Native American thing there, or the Osage Indians, where there's groups of Osage Indians. One were called the Earth People, and the other were called the Sky People.
Wow.
That's interesting, isn't it? The Earth People they were 5'5" tall, 5'6", 5'7". That was their average height. That was most of the average height of the people that were living in the United States at the time. That was back in the late 1800s. But there was also the Sky People, and the Sky People were 6'8", 6'10", 7'2" people. Well, where the heck did they come from? Because there weren't any of those people anywhere in the United States. Well, there's another group of people that came out of the Nova Scotia area. That's an area up north and east of Maine. The Algonquin Indians, who received various prophecies by people who were who came out of the water. These people that came out of the water, they called them fish people. Well, they're called fish people because they were to them living in the water, but they were in ships, and they got the Native Americans to grow things and taught them about keeping alive and when things were getting bad. And they also gave them a prophecy that one of the things that was going to happen is they were going to travel from their area in and around Nova Scotia, travel down the St. Lawrence Seaway, across the Great Lakes, and settle in Minnesota, where the food grew upon the water. That's what they said. Well, the food that grew on the water was a form of cabbage. And they predicted all of that. And in addition to that, they predicted what was going to happen to the Indians. And they said that if the white men that they were facing in that area were going to continue with their ways of polluting, that the Native Americans are going to be forced to choose who they wanted to be with. And if they chose the land and taking care of the land, that the ships may indeed come in, pick them up, and save them while the earth is being reset.
Wow.
That was a prophecy that was given to them right after the last flood.
Wow.
And we're in that time right now.
This is amazing. This is amazing. This is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
This.
And all of that was written in They Are Here Volume 2.
This is amazing, and for any, and this is, so there's a question that I want to bring, as someone asked, and it's relevant right now, would be, for one, have you shared the map with any researchers out there, for one?
Yes,
And then,
every researcher who said that they wanted to, or that they did their own map. Also noticed this comment about David Paulides' map. Yes. There's a lot of overlay here, but it sort of falls apart when you get to the center of the country, because there's no mountains in the center.
Right.
Yeah.
And from my experience, when I'm looking at the map, a lot of the places that have very few pins are pretty much wide open areas where people aren't there. So you could assume that this entire map would literally be covered, from end to end.
Yep.
So further just goes to show that they're everywhere. They're everywhere. This is what I'm talking about, though, because you took your time to do this. If you didn't sit down and put this map together, then we would not be able to take in with the visual, which pretty much seals the deal on what it is that we're dealing with. Yep. I know the government has something similar to this where they have, I'm sure they have one where they show the entire country just covered with sightings, and it's like, well, what does that really mean? So I think that's awesome. That is awesome.
MUFON has an electronic version where any of the sightings that they had, they put it on a map electronically, and then you can drill down and look at each individual sighting and what it does. But I wanted to do this because as I was looking at sightings and realized that in the National UFO Reporting Center, if I were looking at, take for instance, North Carolina, and I go right up to the the area in the western North Carolina where it bordered on Tennessee, and within the National UFO Reporting Center, there'd be nothing about Tennessee. And you go to Tennessee and you see the things that are in Tennessee, but you wouldn't see North Carolina. When I noticed that, I had to get this picture and create a map so that everyone had a visual. That was a more or less a homework assignment given to me during one of my nighttime sessions.
We had another question. Jeff Garvey was asking, Tom, did you consider putting your map on ArcGIS? Do you know what that is?
Boy, it's sure familiar. I don't know exactly what it is, but I've seen that terminology.
ArcGIS, if you guys could fill in what that means, Jeff Garvey, if you're out there, tell us what I'm sure I know what it is once you say it.
Yeah, me too.
ArcGIS, Jeff Garvey, if you're out there. Yeah, so, but that's awesome. So while we're waiting for that, yeah, so, okay, so another thing to also point out, I guess, would be pretty much, if you look at it, all of the coastline, pretty much the entire coastline on all edges of the country have sightings, which further goes into the USO situation and the Great Lakes, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Gulf, all hot spots. So, yeah, they're over us. They're in our waters. They're everywhere. And this is just a great visual. I won't have to keep bringing this up and showing people this because it just, I mean, you can say there's sightings everywhere. You can verbalize that, but to see it visually has a whole other impact to it.
That's why I did it, Rob. And it took me a year to construct this map because whenever I would come up with any town, Arkansas, I had to look it up on a map.
Yeah, that's if your data with someone like have you heard of Cheryl Costa?
Oh, I know Cheryl very well.
Cheryl has pretty much done some of the same deep work as this. If
Yep.
you guys were to combine your data, that would be, I'm sure, pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess Jeff Garvey is saying that the ArcGIS, it would allow other maps uploaded to layer on your map to be able to make correlation.
Okay.
So still not sure exactly what that ArcGIS is. Where can you find that, Jeff Garvey? I'll look it up real quick. Okay, let's see. Okay, ArcGIS. Okay, build interactive web maps with ArcGIS online. So, web-based mapping software, getting new okay. So it looks like it's a website where you can upload your map, and it's arcgis.com if you ever want to go and take a look at it.
Okay. One of the things I did in one of my other books is that book is entitled Earthquakes and UFOs. I assembled a whole bunch of other U.S. maps and annotated them and tried to determine where the quakes were that were above 4.5 and where the fault lines were and where the mountain ranges were, major lakes, inactive volcanoes, magnetic anomalies. Then, of course, I have David Politi's map here, mineral resources and mines and sighting anomalies, giant reports. So I did some of that, but in a manual format in an 8.5 by 11 earthquakes and UFOs. So
Wow.
I
So
was
what?
thinking along same way there.
So what do you, I mean, this is, with the data that you have here, like how would this be something you would position to, I mean, obviously the visual is there, but what would be your message, I guess, to someone that didn't understand what they were looking at, that was, just coming around to feeling that these UFOs are real? What would be the steps you would take to not convince them really, but kind of just lay it out in front of them and give them the evidence to kind of sift through themselves?
Wow. Well, I don't know how to answer that. Well, what I would tell them initially is I would describe to them the areas that are loaded with sightings, and then show them the areas that weren't loaded with sightings, and have them picture some of the areas, like North Dakota and stuff. It's just the wide open spaces, and just to give them an idea where things may be coming from, and why the map was assembled the way it was.
And what would be your 10,000-foot view? Like, what would be it if you had to tell the story of based on your own research on how you think this is playing out, or if these things are living here or coming from somewhere else? If you have, based on everything that you've looked at, what would be your view of what we're dealing with? Like, are they coming from somewhere else? Are they visiting? And then why would you think they would be, being seen this frequently? What do you think the message is there? What are they trying? Are they ready for contact? Because it would seem like, looking at this map, I would say they are trying to make contact if there's this many sightings all over the place. So,
Well, yes. I would say that number one, we probably have several areas around the United States where they have locations. You can call them bases if you want.
yeah.
That's out in the Atlantic Ocean, in the Pacific Ocean, and within some of the mountain ranges. And there's three areas, and I think that the ones that are in the mountain ranges are of a different race than the ones that are in the ocean. And there may indeed be up to 50 named races that have their entire civilization with them, or a large portion of their civilization with them in massive ship structures. And the rest of them are just representatives, maybe two or three or four from a particular planet. And in all, there may be up to 200 races represented.
Man, and look at this another way too, because if we were just talking about the coastlines and them being obviously underwater. If you were looking, well, I guess first question would be, do you look at this with this data as a benevolent or malevolent presence? Like, what would you lean towards, or do you think it's a little bit of both evenly?
Okay, as far as the data goes, you can't tell anything about whether they're benevolent or not. You can't tell a thing. But if you have been taken, or they've hijacked your consciousness or whatever, you can tell when that happens that they are extremely benevolent.
Yeah.
Extremely benevolent. And they aren't going to mess with us. And we have to get our own act in place.
You know, because you could look at the coast, and the reason why I bring this up, because you could look at, you know, the coastal lines and think of it on this level, like the same way, and maybe this is just earthly thinking. I'm just throwing this out there, but the same way that we have subs out there under the water, you know, right off the coast of other countries, in almost strategic positions, you know, in the event that you know there needed to be a quick response, it could be viewed that the ETs are positioning themselves right off the coast of key assets. When you think about Los Angeles, it's a hot spot. I'm down here by LA. It's definitely a hot spot here, and we know they're in the water off Catalina Island, and it's almost it could be viewed that they are in strategic spots along our coastlines, which could be, I guess, looked at as benevolent because they could be there as protectors on our coastlines. That could be one view. Or it could be something where they need, you know, they're close enough to keep an eye in case they need to go ahead and step in at a moment's notice, which would, you know, if you were to vision that there are bases upon bases upon bases along these coastlines, that there could be a huge presence that could step right out of the water and step on the land at any moment. So, you know, obviously we don't know either way, but it's just looking at both sides of it. It could be a threatening proposition based on what we're looking at, or it could be like, wow, we're really protected and they're all around us keeping us safe. So it could be, you know, it's totally opposite ways to look at it.
Oh, absolutely. Before I forget, hi back to Brian Bowden. He and I are good friends, so it's great that he's listening. Yeah, as far as the bases go, I don't think there's as many bases per se, as there's purported to be. You have to understand these ships can travel in our air up to 20,000 miles per hour. So they can be on the East Coast and jump up into super speed and be on the West Coast within minutes.
Yeah.
So there may not be that necessity to have bases everywhere. You hear a lot of people talking about, oh, there's a base here, there's a base there. You know, I don't think so. I'm sure is one very, very large base in the Pacific and one in the Atlantic, and that's really all that's necessary. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that these ships, a lot of the ships, are seen going into the water. And
Yes.
the first thing that people say, oh, there must be a base there. I wouldn't think that's true. I believe they're going in and out of the water because they probably have a heat problem.
Okay.
And the best way to dissipate heat is when something's water cooled.
Yeah. That's a good.
And I think they're going into small lakes, rivers, all kinds of stuff. And the general term is, oh, there's a base there. There's a base there. Well, if there was a base there, there'd be 70 bases across the United States. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. I believe they go into the water, in and out of the Great Lakes, in and out of the Atlantic Ocean, in and out of other lakes, with impunity, because they have a heat dissipation problem. That's my take.
Yeah. No, it sounds pretty plausible, and that's a good one to throw in the hat. So, with that being said, we had so we have about 7 minutes left. We had Christine wanting to know. Actually, I'll save hers for last. We have Brown Dwarf asking, "Are you familiar with Robert Ship's work with the Dragon or Dragonfly UFOs?"
No.
Okay.
I don't know the last name. Robert Shipes.
Yeah, if you
I,
look
I,
him
I
up,
don't recognize that name.
yeah, I believe he's been on this show before as well
Okay.
during the week. Now, if you let me see, we had Cosmic Joe Chronicles asking, would you travel to another solar system on a space ark?
Interesting. Not unless my wife could come with me.
That's right. All right. And then Christine wanted to know, can our guest tell us about the alien wall art behind him?
Oh, okay. That was a picture that I saw on Facebook. It was just a small picture, and I made a copy of it and sent it around to a few people and made a comment that it was pretty cool. And the guy reminded me of somebody. I didn't know who, but it just reminded me of someone. And the next thing I know, my son saw that picture and found where he could get a large copy of it, and either he ordered it with the frame on it or he framed it for me, and there it sits.
Awesome. Now, I want to go ahead and make sure we show this here, which are your books here. So these are your books. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead, tell everybody where they could find these and where they can get in contact with you if need be.
Sure. They Are Here series that goes from the top left down towards the center. Volume 1, 2, and 3, the East Coast, Central U.S., and West Coast. And I had so much fun writing them, but boy, it sure did change my mind, change my life. Then going to the top right is Going Interstellar. That's a collection of the blogs that I wrote on how we can go to their planets. Then Earthquakes and UFOs, I tried to find a correlation between where UFOs were and the fact that we'd have big earthquakes every so often. Again, that was one of those things I laid out all the data and came out to a conclusion that wasn't even close to where I started from. And the Night Visitants, that's the most recent one, was written by Anna, but it was a story told by me. And I also told about someone who I had interviewed who had been abducted multiple times and some very nasty events. Her name in the book is Shailene. But anyhow, all these books are available on Amazon. You can get in touch with me through Facebook, Facebook/Tom.Conwell.3. That's the best way to do it. And yeah, Going Interstellar, problems first. And then you or my email address is TCONWEL2. You notice my name has LL at the end. The email doesn't. CONWEL2 at nycap.rr.com.
All right. And those links should also be in the description of this video. I'm pretty sure I put them in there if they're part of the bio. So, yeah, with that being said, what would be one word you want to leave with humanity? Like, what something important it has to do with where we're going, or how can we, what would you suggest to be one of the best ways to prepare for what's coming?
Wow. Jeez. Okay, for what's coming. Oh, you totally stumped me with that one, Rob. Wow, I have to get everything within one phrase, and that's very hard to do.
Take your time. We'll wait for you there.
Okay.
I don't want them to hear it from you. Like, what would be, there's going to be a first step. There's going to be, like I said, like tomorrow could be the day that it all changes. So what would be the advice you would give if it happened to be tomorrow? What's the first step that we need to do as humanity?
Okay. Well, let me give you a couple.
Yeah.
Number one, learn how to meditate. Number two would be to love your neighbor, because that's going to be a big deal when we transition to 5D. And and I'm getting molested by my dog. And let's see what else. Spirituality is the beginning and end of everything that's going to happen to us.
Good place to leave it. That is actually an awesome answer. Perfect. And I had an awesome time with you, Tom. We're going to do this again. The conversation should continue. Once again, I want to point out how awesome it is that you have taken, data that's sitting out there for anyone to parse through and actually have done something with it to kind of further the narrative and kind of get us closer to visioning what this is. So awesome that you've done that. Keep up that great work, and we will definitely be talking to you again soon.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. We will be doing this again, Tom. So we have you have my information. Stay in touch, and if you feel the need to want to just hop on, let me know. If there's an open date, I'm scheduling you, and we'll have you right back.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, Tom. Have a good rest of your night. Take care.
Okay, great. See
Yes,
you,
sir.
Brian.
All right, guys. So yes. Tom Conwell. Awesome interview. Loving what he's doing. And I find that more and more with the people that we talk to, right? Something that moves the needle. That's something that moves the needle. What he's doing is something that's moving the needle, regardless how small it is on the scale or how large it is on the scale. It's something that's going towards getting us to where we need to go. He's done a lot of research, put that wonderful map together. I want a copy of that map. I want to put that on my wall because I think that that's a very important map to have. That really puts it in perspective that this is everywhere. This is going on all over the place. So what we're going to do is go ahead and pause for the cause, right? We're going to go ahead and get ready to jump into our third hour of After Hours. You guys sit back, relax, and we'll be back in just a minute. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio after hour numero three. After hour number 3. With me, your host, Mr. Rob G. We had an awesome guest. Totally appreciate Tom Conwell for coming through for hours 1 and 2. We're going to keep this train going after hour number 3. But first, space travelers, let's go ahead and make sure that those who can be there are there with us in Reno, May 10th through 12th, 2024, this year, a couple months. It's going to be an awesome setup. Day 1, we're going to go ahead and do a show, 1 hour each. So Jessica, myself, and then Dave Scott. And then soon as that's done, we're going to go ahead and kick off the VIP after party. It's going down. Please be there. Saturday, we're going to do we're going to go to Virginia City and do the ghost hunt with Merle. And then Sunday night, we're going to go ahead and do the UFO Skywatch with Melinda Leslie. Hopefully, possibly CE5/CE5 event. Sunday, if you're still there, if you're able to stay in town, it's going to be a free-for-all. Whatever goes. It's up to you. You let us know what you want to do. We're going to do it. Once again, we can sit down and have breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or all of them. Just let us know what you want to do. We'll definitely sit down and do that. And yeah, it should be an awesome thing. Everybody you're gonna want to see is gonna be there, and they're gonna be already there waiting for you to arrive so they can meet you. So do whatever you can to go ahead and get out there. Info at spacedoutradio.com. Go ahead and send your email request for tickets there. $60 for a normal ticket. $100 get you the ticket plus the VIP swag bags. Yeah, really, really hope to see you there. Rocking your Rob G. Elliott t-shirts if you got them. Castle Dude got the draws, so we won't be able to see Castle Dude because he has the Rob G draws. And you can't walk around like that here in the United States. So we'll just have to visualize Castle Dude with the Rob G draws. But shout out to Castle Dude all the way over there in the UK, rocking those Rob G's, man. Appreciate you. So with that being said, hour number 3, we're going to go ahead and jump in with our guys. You can see right here on the screen, Bowden Talks with Brian Bowden, Sir Brian Bowden. We're going to go ahead and bring him in right now. Do appreciate you, Brian, coming in. How are you?
I'm tired, dude.
Yeah.
It's, you know what? I'll tell you, it's fantastic seeing Tom Conwell.
Yeah.
Tom has been staying more local and not coming out to some of the events, for his, his own personal reasons, and he's just awesome.
Yeah.
And he's a friend of mine, and what a great mind, because he takes this perspective that's totally, no pun intended, alien to what everybody else is taking, but his information makes sense.
Yes.
And he's up there. I mean, he's one of, when I do my CE5 presentations, I tell everybody actually to listen to Dave Scott's on there, Spaced Out Radio, because I think it's important. If you want to know more about the subject, go straight to the source. And a lot of people, oh, it's the Canadian Midnight in the Desert. No, it's better than that. Spaced Out Radio has been better than that for a long, long time.
Yes, sir.
Between Dave Scott, Jessica, and all the other hosts that some have come and gone, and some continue to prosper on. Look at this. You got a great audience, a lot of good information, and great guests coming on.
Man, love it. And then Brian Bowden for hour number 3 to just put the icing on the top of the cake, man. So it's a beautiful thing. I agree and appreciate the sentiment and the compliments. And yeah, we're trying to just raise the bar here, man. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I never got a chance to thank you. I set up with Mr. Scott the interview with Evan B. Stone.
Yes.
Jack Vesey, and unfortunately, he had the snowstorm, and you killed it. You did a great job.
Appreciate that. Yes.
Right out of the park. Those guys, I've known Evan for a long time. Grew up with him in the Boogie Down Bronx for the most part, and his family. Great guy, great filmmaker. And it was weird when I first, like growing up, we didn't have any of this. If you're lucky, you knew who your phone number, maybe your grandmother, and, you actually knew it. You ask all these people here, like, what's your mom's number? I have no idea. They won't know who it is. But, we grew up in an era where you just didn't know what happened to people. You went to school with them, high school, whatever, college, and you left before, all the cell phones and all that other stuff. And I was watching Josh Gates that one night, one of the destinations or whatever the heck it was called, Expedition, whatever. Yep. And then the Hobochku Forest, which is on my bucket list to go to. And there's this guy sitting there, and the guy looks familiar, throws him up in the air, pulls him off the ground, flips him upside down. I'm like, holy crap, that's Evan Stone. I know who that is. My wife's like, who? And I just explained to him, like he grew up here, whatever. So it was good to reconnect with him, and his family makes great movies. Between him and his brother, I mean, they're at the forefront of videos. All these videos, MTV and all that stuff. You'll be surprised who they did the videos for. Public Enemy, Dr. Dre, everybody.
Oh, wow.
All the big names. Everybody you think, John Mayer, you name it. These guys, he's the one that was doing their videos and kicking it. Yeah.
Oh man, and let me tell you, because that's awesome to know. I'm glad to hear that because we have them back on. Well, they're coming to after hours on. Saturday the 16th. So in a couple weeks, about 2 weeks from now.
Their program that's on they're doing the YouTube show.
Yes.
And SVJ
SVC Explorers, I think.
SVC, yeah. It is just fantastic because you get all these shows on TV, the ghost hunting shows and all this other, whatever. I gotta be honest, it's all crap. It's stage stuff. Turn the flashlight on. This is why I don't really investigate, ghosts anymore. Either you believe it or you don't. Okay. And most people think, oh, I got demons. No, you just got a really pissed off person that was an A, whatever in life and is an A in the death. And you're in their house and they don't want you there. You would do the same thing. So I'm not really into some of that stuff, but I do love watching they're getting good evidence. They're getting good stuff on film. Actually, I have to send them out. I promised them some Tesla coils, and I have them actually right here in my area, on top of a really big amp setup. So we'll be building those and sending them out to them very shortly.
Look, Evan, one of the things we talked about doing when I interviewed them in place of Dave was to go through UFO videos and running them through an AI program that he has access to. So it's going to be a lot of that. And he's also talked about he's run the Patterson Gimlin film through the AI, and he said you'll be shocked at what you see. And so I can't wait for that. That should be an awesome show, man.
I'll leave that to him. I've actually seen it, so I'll leave it to him, and I'm not spoiling anything for anybody.
But, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'll tell you, artificial intelligence is really important in many ways, but I would not rely on it because it's built by human beings who are flawed. We're all flawed. And they can be programmed to do certain things, and then once they become sentient and they're starting to speak, in a couple of cases, some of these things had to be shut down because not only were they speaking to each other, but they started creating multiple different languages, and the programmers couldn't figure out what the heck was going on.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
So they were like, no, shut this down.
Yeah,
that's scary. That's like that's like Terminator type of stuff.
Yeah, coming soon. It's already on deck. They're putting that they've already, I know they have implemented that AI into some of those Boston Dynamic robots. I know they've done this already with those. And once that happens and they weaponize those robots have run off of some sort of power source and they get Starlink internet where they can get it anywhere in the world, it's going to be trouble.
Well, there's a current situation. I'm not going to name it, but there is a current situation where one group is fighting another group right now, and it ain't with Russia. Just leave it like that. And one of the groups is using AI for all their bombing runs.
Wow.
And they're letting the AI actually pick the locations without any other input. And the problem is with AI is it will never be perfect because it lacks one really important component: emotion.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you don't have emotions, you're evil. Downright, you're not emotional, you're evil. This is the problem with the extraterrestrials, and I kind of differ. I think some of them are malevolent and some of them are benevolent, and there's almost like a standoff going. If you get off this planet and you can go into space, get the permission. You have to get permission to launch stuff because they don't want you to see what's outside the planet. You'll catch numerous different ships from numerous different races, like pointed right at each other, and they're all hovering there. They all know they're there, Everybody wants this planet. Everybody wants what we have, DNA, building block, and everybody's keeping everybody in check. But I don't think I don't really subscribe to the Galactic Federation personally. I don't see this room filled with like a variety of different looking extraterrestrials, you know, looking to save the planet and then deciding whether they want Chinese or Italian for lunch.
Yeah.
You know, Chinese are
Yeah.
raise your fins or flippers or whatever if you want China. That's two. And then Italian, yeah. I just I don't buy it. I've talked to plenty of people that are experiencers, multiple abductees. Some of them are saying, yeah, they were told about saving the planet type of things and doing better in humanity, which is good for everybody, but others weren't. And others were more about your intellect, your intelligence, your strength, and using it to your advantage. And you would come from a descendants of really powerful, smart, articulate, whatever beings, and you should be that. So, yeah, I don't know if they're going to save us. I'd like to hope so, but
It doesn't really feel that way. It just
That
is too many examples where just they could have and they just didn't. So why would they now?
Okay. So you got to understand something. There are over, I'm going to say well over 300 different races here. And that includes extraterrestrials, interdimensional. And then you get those time travelers, which could be us in the future that come back. That being said, the report and the information coming from a lot of people that have been abducted for the program, the procreation program, the hybrid program, is because their race of beings, they screwed themselves. They literally have killed themselves off. Kind of like the path we're following. Be it war, famine, whatever it is, disease, their race is gone. There's only what's left that's here. And they're using humans and the human DNA because it is a perfect building block to create life upon. And of course, there's going to be people here that said, oh, maybe we were genetically altered. We are the experiment. We very well could be. We do have junk DNA, which is really interesting because no one knows what it's there for. A lot of scientists. So I believe that they're using us to create hybrids and eventually breed out the human and then breed back in the Andromedan. I'm just going to use a name, for example, so or the reptilian or the insectoid or whatever it is. And if you remember in your science class, it was like junior high school, what they call it middle school now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was called junior high school. They gave you the gene, the XY chart. There's
Yes.
Y, XY. So X times X, it's X, double X, X times Y, XY. And then on the other side, you'll be, YX, YY. And one of those is going to be human based. Like the X's are all humans. The Y's are all the extraterrestrial. And the other ones are the hybrids. And if you keep doing these type of breeding programs multiple times, eventually what you can do is breed out the human aspect and just get the alien aspect. So now you're recreating your own race through genetic and cloning.
Wow. I kind of went more down that rabbit hole recently because I forget which show I was recently watching the show, and they had gave this theory of with these all these other planets out there that have held life, or did potentially those civilizations have reached their AI point where AI in either infused with the biologics or have completely taken over and rule those planets. And it kind of made me think that, okay, if there's a lot of that going around the universe, and AI kind of maybe rules out there potentially,
Right.
then when you look at biologics like us at a state that we're at prior to potentially merging with AI, that would actually make us more valuable than at that point. Because I was always having problems with thinking about like, why us? Why would we be so special? If there's life everywhere, they're just more advanced, but they're still life forms. But then potentially, if 40-50% of the universe ends up being passed by life forms and are now at AI, then it would make sense that us as still biologics are maybe the minority again, and it would make sense on why all these different species would be coming to visit this one planet. And that's kind of what I started thinking about. I was like, whoa, that's mind blowing, and
You're
really opens that up.
You're talking about transhumanism. Elon Musk, that guy's weird. I guess when you're a billionaire, you could be weird, but I'm not sure if he's extraterrestrial or just a Satan worshiper. But that's a different story.
Something's going on, yeah.
There's something really buggy about that guy. I'm not into the transhumanism. You know, there are a lot of great things that would be awesome for everybody, but there are always individuals that will manipulate it and make it crap. Okay. And one of those is the Neuralink. Yes. Could that have a positive effect on people who have neurologic disorders, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, dementia? Yeah, they could. Although I did come up with a theory long time ago, probably about 20, 30 years ago. I was getting migraines. I got hit from behind a couple of times in cars. So I get migraines, and you can't get rid of. If you've had a migraine, it's just amazing how painful that thing is. And I discovered rare earth magnets. They're little magnets, and I put some, a first aid tape on it. And I'd start putting on the base of my skull, on the back, on the neck, on the top over here, especially the third eye, hit the side temples, and it seemed to help alleviate that headache. And the way I'm thinking like, well, what's going on here? Why is it doing that? Well, part of it is we are a computer as human beings, right? So we have currents going through us. We have our own frequency. Each one of us has our own frequency. And you, my friend, have a kick-ass soundtrack. But that's besides the point.
Thanks.
Okay? You have a good soundtrack. A lot of it's so familiar. I'm just trying to figure out where it comes from. But getting back to that whole thing. So what happens is with electric circuit, you have an issue, maybe an overload in certain areas, or it's not flowing properly. So I think what the rare earth magnet does, and if you think about it, blood flow and iron and minerals within your body, I think what it does is it's able to reroute the proper minerals and electronic pulses to certain areas to alleviate the cranial pressure. And I remember sitting there at one point because I'm like, oh my God, we could. And I said, they could use this to, cure people that have Parkinson's, the shakes or MS or some other diseases. I'm like this. And then I told my father about it, and he's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know I'm crazy. Like whatever. But I started writing a little bit, but I was just thinking about it in my head and like, how would it go about? Well, we fast forward, probably 15 years after I told them, and a little bit more than that. And a researcher and a team in Australia, I believe it was, they took a swim cap and they put magnets within the entire swim cap. And when they put it on people that had Alzheimer's and they turned the currents on, it literally got rid of all their problems. The Alzheimer's went bye-bye. And they were realigning people's brains so that they didn't have the issue anymore. And I'm like, I showed it to my dad. I'm like, remember what I told you? He's like, no, I don't remember. I'm like, they're going to use this for magnets to get rid of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. He goes, they're doing it in Australia now. He's like, he shook his head. He's like, what the hell? How do you come up with these things? So
Makes total sense. Makes
Well,
total sense that will work.
it's an interesting thing. I mean, my mother was a special ed teacher, so when I was younger, I wasn't so good in school, and so she thought, oh, maybe I had issues or special needs, as they call them now.
Mm-hmm.
Those little yellow school bus, right? So they kept taking me to all these, big universities, NYU, Columbia, big time universities, and you're going through this whole process psychologically, and they're giving you IQ tests. And I remember, I remember paying attention. I knew what they were doing. I knew people were watching, big windows, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I don't like to be watched. The guy's like, no, it's just you and me. And I'm like, no, it's all the people behind the glass over here. And they all started laughing. They knew. So they would give my mother a report about me, and they'd say, well, what did he score? So my lowest score on an IQ test was 179.
Whoa.
And the highest score at the time, I remember sitting in the office, listening to everything, but pretending not to pay attention. She said, well, what did he score on this test? And this was at Columbia. They said, we know he's well over 200, but we don't have the capacity to actually calculate. And I was like, whatever, it's meaningless to me. Your IQ, look, there's a lot of smart people out there that are dumbasses. Okay.
Yeah.
We
lack
all
common sense.
Yeah. We have all those friends, although they're good in certain situations, but whatever. So the whole process here, I don't think AI has a component in this. And I don't think they're using AI. I mean, they could be. They could be using AI. They could have been using nuclear. They could have been using a virus. The corruption from X, Y, and Z, different sects of different beings, like, whatever it was, and they just destroyed their entire world. They could have blew it up, and a couple of beings escaped, and they're trying to now recreate what they lost, which is a great thing. But you have to understand how powerful we are as human beings in this galactic world. We're using maybe 3% if we're lucky. Okay, but mostly 2% of our brain. Most of us. Do you understand where we could be if we used 10%? Seriously use it. Or 20% or 100%. We have the capability. We're built and designed to have the capability to do things that will blow your mind. You wouldn't believe what you wouldn't believe. I thoroughly believe we have the ability to manipulate, just like Bigfoot or does, in my opinion, manipulate the molecular structure of things and vibrate at a frequency that will allow us to pass through solid objects, that will allow us to travel. Tom said something really, really important to everybody. And I haven't done it in a while, and I'm up on a new kick. Meditation is huge in this entire world subject, whether you're a ghost hunter, whether you're Bigfoot, dog man, owl man, who? I use that all the time. It doesn't matter what you're doing, because we're not vibrating at the proper frequency. And all this little stuff going on around the world, it affects everybody. Okay? And negative begets negative, positive gets positive. If we talked about this last time, how if you think positively and you act positively, things start happening. It works. I mean, I know when you just got fired, your kid's crying or your girl's crying or whatever, and you're like, what am I going to do? And you're at the lowest point. Thinking positive is just not going to cut it for you. But if you take 5 minutes or 10 minutes and do a meditation, do it when you're going to work or come in just before you leave. You left work, you get in the car, you're ready to go. Stop, shut the radio off, and sit there and close your eyes and breathe for 5 minutes. Okay. And something that I use that I recommend to everybody is this app. It's from I think Labs, BANZAILABS. I'll throw it up, but it's binaural beats, and I've been using this to do meditations for the last week. I meditate, but I don't meditate. I'm a 5 minute and whatever. I don't normally have the time to do it. But what's great is if you put your headphones on, and then what happens is you can select a program, and you're probably hearing it right now through your headphones. And now you're going through a full mindful meditation. And what you're able to do with this when you close your eyes is it's hemi-synced. So you're going to start off with a low theta, and then you'll move into a mid-range theta, and then you'll move into a high-range theta ring. And these different, there's alpha, beta, gamma, theta, different wavelengths. Each one helps you to focus, to relax, to get some peace, but it also helps to open your mind and connect your third eye right there, the pineal gland,
Yeah.
the source. And I won't kill you with all this sound here, but
I'm looking that up, binaural beats. So they have a bunch of them. What does the logo look like?
I'm going to show you right now. This way, I'm going to present it to you, and then I'm going to share the screen.
Yep.
And you can pop it up there. There's a variety of different ones. I like Bonsai Labs. I've had them for a while. They have a few free ones. I do not get money from these guys. Okay. They were one of the few companies out there that were offering this for free. They have it on both Android and iPhone. So you can do it. Do not do it while you're driving. Disclaimer, do not meditate while you're driving. Unless you're in the state of Florida, because these people can't drive for crap. Is where I am right now. It is insane down here. You're in LA, it's like a Chips episode every day down in Florida. I don't know if you remember the Chips episode.
Oh, yeah.
Some gum, and the next thing you know, 50 cars are piled up, right? But when you put this in there's different programs, and there's one of them that's I don't know it's free anymore because I don't have it listed, but I have a bunch of different ones that I paid for. Some of them are just like 99 cents, some of them are $1 now. But they have headache, brainwave, dreaming. So if you're having a hard time sleeping, or if your spouse is snoring like a Sasquatch in heat right there, there's altered states as well, and that offers you a Zen meditation, a high beta, a heightened awareness. I've been using this the last couple of weeks. I've gone back to it, and you can have it with just the wave, vibrating like this. I'm gonna play a little bit of it. You can have just that, or you can add your own ambiance to it, and it has this is like rain or whatever it is. They have a variety of different things.
Yeah.
You can even use your own like playlist. If you have some of your stuff would probably work great with binaural beats because of the mix that you have going on in there.
Yeah.
This is important because before I'm a remote viewer. Okay. I've been a remote viewer for a very long time. I've been doing it before I was known as a remote viewer. And so when I do some remote view sessions for people, I meditate before going into a session or a reading. And I will just sit. I have to get away from everybody. I sit, and usually it's in my car at a gas station, because that if you have kids or a spouse and you're there, just one question, I'm like, no, get the okay, because you got to focus in. I don't get anything I don't want anybody to tell me when I do a reading, like what's going on, because I want to get it pure. I'll ask you the questions. Don't tell me. And just say, I had this girl, want to see her again, whatever. I'll go take a look at it. And that's how I operate. And I meditate. And now I've been doing this. What's great about these programs is, see at the top of the screen, there are different time frames you can do it. You can do 10-minute one, you can do 3-minute one, you can do a 2-hour one. Matter of fact, if you're at work and you're just doing something labor wise and you want to just, kind of like sail through your job, put this on, listen to it with your music, and you can, there's like one that will literally lift your energy level up. It's called
Yeah.
a cup of espresso. It's really, really cool stuff, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. I downloaded it, so I'm gonna try it.
Someone said, "Were you born and raised in New York?" But I don't know if that's for me. Oh, that was for somebody else. Yes, I was born and raised in the Bronx. Yes, on the streets way back when. But use this, and I'll tell you the reason why. I was thinking, thank God Tom was here, because he kind of helped me out with our discussion tonight. I've been posting when I go into meditation, when I start my binaural beat session, which is my meditation. I'm able to sit outside. Sorry for you people up in the north. I apologize, it's winter, but I left that crap behind a long time ago. I'm not upset about it. And I sit outside. No one's around, kids at school. I got my time. I throw it on and I do they'll tell you need a 40-minute session. You need a 30-minute session. So you can get through all the different programs that's within it. And I sit there for a minimum of 30 minutes, sometimes over an hour. And when I go into this and close my eyes and I focus, I literally say, show me what you want to show me for this session. And the stuff that I've been getting, off the charts. It's really good. And I don't, I'm not here to scare anybody, but the other day I did a session, and it was on the 27th of February. And I saw a desert, so a big desert scene, and on the right-hand side, there were these, it was like a city. And you could see it in the distance, and there were these, best way to say is if you put cylinders together, different heights right next to each other, that's what it looked like. Looked like cylinders or metal, but it very well could have been, mirrored glass. And it was weird. It was just strange. And then the next thing that happened in the desert, this vortex opened. And there was a vortex, and the clouds were spinning. And there was a little bit of like a yellow, red firelight behind it. And the next thing you know, I saw a bridge it came down. And it was almost like a light bridge. And I don't know if it was a wormhole or a vortex, or because as I kept going on there, I saw transport ships coming down, and I saw things coming from up above us down to the desert. There were individuals, I couldn't make them out. Craft, couldn't make them out. I tried. I'm able to ask questions in my sessions, and sometimes they're answered. Sometimes they'll say, I have words now. They'll say, no. Can I tell Rob this? No. They won't let me tell you. And I'll explain something to you. It's very frustrating knowing some stuff and not being able to say something to somebody. And I ask, why is it? And I get the path. So you have to go through a certain path in life. And if I didn't like that, I don't really listen. So I have actually tried to convey things to people. And what happens is the powers that be come back and really rock me. Like things will go bad. The toilet will break. They'll be like, things that were fine will now start going bad.
Shifts the energy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's basically saying, we told you no. And I understand it, because if you didn't follow the path that you followed, you wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
Right? You wouldn't be here. You followed a certain path, and eventually it led you to doing the after hours, your show, and what you do. the same thing for me. Yes, I can. I'm sorry. I'm looking Paramarv's. He had a question there, and I'm kind of trying to catch some of that.
Are you able to explore topic subjects of interest to you without biasing your results, or do they have to be assigned to you blindly by another party?
I am very unbiased in my views. When I do that, I do not let that affect me whatsoever. I'm very knowledgeable on a lot of subjects, but I still don't let it affect me. If I want more information, say I need more, or if I want a date, I'll get a date. I also have done blind views, many of them, where I wasn't told anything. I could have been given a coordinate or a number or a packet number, and they said, go take a look. And I focus in on that, and whatever comes. And I don't normally write it. I wasn't writing down. I don't do the traditional remote view where you're writing and whatever. I'm doing a lot of it on the. I'm doing a bit of interpretation on it as well. I see it play out. I see what's going on. If I want to ask questions, I'll ask questions. In the case of this, I did see something that it was definitely very reminiscent of a mushroom cloud in the desert. And I want to say the Middle East. And I know there's an event there. And I'm like, oh, this is not, it was, but it wasn't. And I said, and they showed me a date. They said sometime in April, early April. Now, what's interesting about what I said, and I did post what I saw. I post them up on Facebook. And I'll, my remote viewing sessions. I mean, I can actually, let me unshare this and I'll give you an example so you can see it. Let me see something right here. Here we go. So I just shared something with you. So this is my session log. I've been doing this for a bit. This is the city on top, and it says desert sand, Sandra Glass vortex. I write quickly. I know what it means. And then we got into this stuff. And it was weird because it looked like there was two suns in through the clouds. And then it started to have like a centerpiece that looked like a welding torch or afterburners, which I wrote over there. And this was a column that same place. Column is coming down into the desert, and I'm driving there. I'm in a car at this point, or a Jeep, and we're heading towards it. But this is also being reported on the news globally. And
Wow.
It feels like the Middle East. I don't know if it's a launch date. I don't know if it's a launch of something. But there was no specifics. After it was over, it was over. I will try to revisit because I want more clarity on this. But they did give me an April date, like saying April 2024. And what was weird is after this was taking place, all this stuff, there was like, we went into this cloud, and the next thing you know, I was traveling into a city of crystals. It felt like crystals, like a crystal city. The equivalent of what these things look like is if you've ever seen the original Superman, when he goes to his planet.
Mm-hmm. Crystals, the Krypton. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to feel like, I'm like, but this was more triangular. And they also were multiple space. It was really, really weird. But I think something, it was like, maybe this is going to be someone's going to launch something here. Now, I think it was today. I was, I get up in the morning, I get my caffeine, and I'm sitting out, and I'm just scrolling through social media or whatever it is, and I come across a group that I follow called the Future Forecasters. It's run, I believe, by Dick Alger. He's a remote viewer. There's a whole bunch of remote viewers. If you haven't seen them, check them out. And I swear to God, it's about Dick Alger, and I posted this a couple of days ago. Dick Alders is saying that there's going to be a global event that's going to rock this planet in March. And
Fairmore said, did you get an impression as to whether it was hostile or an accident?
you know what? I didn't get hostile or an accident, but I got a little bit of what it looked like is some kind of military action. So maybe it was hostile. I don't know. I mean, I'm not running around chicken, with the chicken, like, its head cut off, but it did kind of have a little bit of could this be a mushroom cloud, or could this be something that is opened up in space, a vortex or a wormhole, and a craft's coming in? We're going to be visited, so this is where we are. It's it's strange. For the most part, when I go in and I do these, this is blind. This is show me what you want me to see, not me
Right.
saying I want to see what's happening X, Y, and Z. Or case in point, I have I'm part of a fraternal organization. One of our brothers was great, new guy. He went missing, and one of my other brothers was very friendly with him, helping him through the whole program. And the guy's not talking to anybody. So we were talking like, where is he? He's lost. Where the hell did he go? I said, if you don't, I told my brother Pat, I'm like, Pat, you don't hear from him in the next couple of hours, I'm going to remote view where he is. He's like, okay, whatever. So we never heard back from him, and I went in specifically looking for this guy, Eric. And when I got there, I felt the coolness of an area. There were meat lockers, like a morgue, and right next to it was looked like a curtain, like in a hospital. I'm like, oh my God, I hope this guy's not in the morgue. And I see it's right next. This curtained room is right next to the morgue, and you can feel the coolness of coming off the freezer.
Yeah.
And then I see someone in a bed on the other side of the curtain, and they're handcuffed to the railing. And I'm like, okay. And they're getting medicine, and I know they lost their medicine. Didn't see his face, didn't see anything. I said, okay. Called up my buddy, and I said, listen, check all the hospitals, specifically the morgue areas. I said, I told him what I saw. I said, saw a guy handcuffed right by the morgue, but I don't know if he's dead or not. I pray to God he isn't. Just became a dad. And he was being fed medicine, but he was definitely arrested. So 6-7 hours go by, and I get a phone call. You were spot on. I'm like, what happened? He goes, Eric got arrested. He got into an issue. People kind of jumped him. When he had the problem, his medicine went flying. They stole his stuff. So they took his phone. They took everything. Police arrested him, put him in the hospital. He was in a gown, handcuffed to the bed railing and getting medicine. And his bed was located right next to the morgue.
Wow.
I was glad he was alive. He's a good guy, and it was resolved. But yeah.
That is awesome. Let me get this last question to you from Little Cat 51. Have you ever tried iDozer? Gates of Hades is the real deal.
No,
You
I
know what that is?
haven't.
Okay.
I don't know what iDozer is, but I'm going to take a screenshot right now, and I'll go look it up. No, I have not. There's a lot of these sessions that come out from IRVA, International Remote View Association, and when you're bored, you go into those. But there's plenty of stuff. I mean, I've done a lot of help with people that needed help, dream interpretations, and there's a lot of strange things happen. I helped a lady out of Canada who was not well because she missed her daughter who recently died and her husband. And she was trying to kill herself. And I said, that's not your path. And I literally saw her husband and her daughter. I have an ability to do that. And I'm talking to her. I said, that's not your path. And they're not happy with what they hear. They know you need some, you got to stop what you're doing. I know you miss them, but you'll see them eventually. You have to still travel your path. And it's really weird when you can see things that other people can't or hear them. And I was able to help her. And I even told her, I said, they're going to give you a sign. Both will give you an individual sign. No problem by the morning. And the next day she goes, right in the morning, send me a photo. Look what appeared on my counter. There was a coin and there was a feather. So I probably saved the woman's life from trying to kill herself. And hopefully she's doing good, trying to help other people out.
Definitely. Derek Galloway is asking, have you heard of the SRNX reptilian race? They are peaceful and fought in the Orion Wars of old.
So there are a couple of reptilian races that are more peaceful than the traditional reptilians. Reptilians are very arrogant beings, super tall, super strong, 400, 500, 600 IQ. They're really, really smart, and they want control of this planet. And there's others, and they'll manipulate mankind however they want. There are others that are like, nope, we're not doing this. It's the same situation with the Anunnaki. There are different types of Anunnaki. They had wars, they fought. The bad ones took off, and some of the good ones were here. Yeah. So it's I haven't necessarily heard of the SRNX reptilians, but I know there are a variety of them.
All right. And that is it for questions, guys. We'll have to save them for next time. Appreciate you once again coming in, Brian. I know it's I hate that you're on the East Coast like that, man, because I know it's so late. But I do appreciate you giving us your time once again, man. It's always interesting. You always bring something every time, so appreciate you.
I'm trying to be here, and I apologize. A lot of different things going on. I'll tell you, the month of March, we may have a problem because I'm doing a couple of Bigfoot expeditions, Class A sightings, and if I can wrangle it, maybe I'll bring my buddy on, and we'll get two of us for the price of one.
Boom. Okay, that works. Yeah, it's all good. And we'll do something in hour 3 and while you're out and about, and we just appreciate you when you're able to give us the time. So it's all good.
Come in live on a Bigfoot investigation.
Okay. I would love that. Yeah.
If we can get that going on.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Brian. Kira is saying thank you, Brian. Everybody's saying thank you, Brian.
End of March, early April.
End of March, okay. And then once again, we have Evan B. Stone and Jack Vasey coming back in on the 16th. So that will be a Saturday. So if you end up being available, you'll be on that show too. But with that being said, thank you, Brian, for coming. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up the show. Until next time, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one, brother.
Yes, sir. Brian Bowden, guys. Always awesome, man. It's always awesome. Once again, show your love and appreciation for Brian. Good stuff. As always, great show. Great show overall. Let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of the show. Nice, solid show. Okay. I feel very good about today's show. Our guest, Tom Conwell, came through. And like I said, I think there should always be an objective perspective, right? Within yourself. Challenge your beliefs. You know what I mean? Don't always take an answer at face value. Question it. Even if it's something that you come up with yourself. Definitely question it. And I think that that is the energy that we should all have while navigating through these waters. And once again, today's show is just another step towards where we're going. A lot more shows to go. We will be doing this all the time. You guys already know. Let me go ahead and drop the commercial because it is so important that you guys visit the swag store and pick up some of this swag. And it is also very important that we see you guys out in Reno. So let me go ahead and see if I can get that stuff up because I would love to meet you, man. I would love to meet everybody here. And before you come, go ahead and check out the swag. Let's take a look.
Guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today and make yourself look good. Love your woo. It's time to make a commitment to the 3rd annual SOR Fan Party. This time, we're heading to Reno, Nevada and the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort, May 10th through 12th, 2024. Tickets are $60 or $100 for VIP. With that, you get a free radio show. You get to hang out with celebrity guests from Spaced Out Radio, including our team, who are coming to hang out with you. You get to meet the entire team, like Science Bob, Merle, Melinda Leslie, Geraldine Orozco, and more. It's a weekend packed with adventure, and we want you there. After all, we're doing this for you. Find out more and get your tickets at info@spacedoutradio.com and book your hotels today at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort in Reno, Nevada. Come join us for the SOR Fan Party, May 10th through 12th, 2024.
All right. So, excellent show once again. I want to go ahead and as we bring the show to a close, I want to go ahead and thank our super chatters for the night. We had Foxy Joe coming through. Appreciate you. We had Aloha Dave doing the same. We do appreciate your support of Spaced Out Radio. To all the space travelers out there, once again, you're already a space traveler. Consider joining the club. That's right, $5 per month. You can take that next step and join our SOR Space Travelers Club by hitting up our Patreon. We do appreciate everything that you guys do. So we appreciate that. To all our viewers and listeners across the globe, thanks once again for tuning your frequency on the weekend show, the Spaced Out Radio After Hours, where we do what it is that we do best. And what's that, you ask? Like every single time, we own the night. We will continue to own the night, and we will see you guys tomorrow. You guys take care.